Hello, everyone, and I welcome you all to a very interesting podcast for today, which is in relation to careers in UAE for taxation, accountancy, and auditing. And in our today's podcast, we have very great guests with us. Both of them are the partners of one of the very big firm serving in the entire Middle East and the GCC region, athGadlang. Both of them, Yasir and Arshad Gadit, are the brothers, and their success is really inspiring that how they have achieved such a great firm throughout this region and a great contribution and a proud moment for our country, Pakistan, also. So I welcome Yasir and Arshad, both of them, for taking out their time from their busy schedules because obviously these guys are already too much occupied in all of their professional services and then taking out time for these aspiring accountants who are looking for the career in accountancy, taxation, and auditing. It's a great contribution. So, first of all, I would like to thank you, Yasin and Arshad, for taking out your time.
Thank you very much, Wes.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much for inviting.
And one more guest with us is our famous tutor, Sir Mustafa Mirchawala, who is the director and faculty at Mirchawala Lab of Accountancy, renowned tutor for accounting trainings and the taxation courses. So he's also our guest. So I thank Mustafa for taking out his time. And his contribution is much
Thank you.
greater because he is in a different time zone and he has taken out time for this podcast. So thank you,
Thank
Mustafa.
you. Thank you.
And let me introduce myself also. I'm Owais Mirchawala. I'm also the trainer and director at Mirchawala of Accountancy. And we have recently launched a very interesting course in relation to UAE taxation. The objective of this session and this podcast is to guide those aspiring accountants who are looking for their careers abroad in specifically in Middle East and Gulf region, that what approach they should be following and how they can prosper in that entire market. Now, first of all, I would like to request Yasir to share his journey that, as I stated at the start, that the journey of Yasir is really inspiring for all of us. The success their firm has achieved and the impact they have been creating. Like I have been in UAE for some time in the past few months, and I must say that the reputation and the image they have built, especially for the Pakistani community, and the impact they are creating in that entire region in relation to these professional services is really remarkable. So I would first request Yasir to share some about his journey, and that would be a real inspiration for all of us.
Thank you very much, Wes. I'll start by giving a brief introduction about myself, and then I'll tell you on how we reached to where we are today. So we'll start with it. I did my chartered accountancy, was associated with Ernst& Young initially, and after completing my articles, I moved to Dubai. I was fortunate enough to get the articles in Ernst& Young, and then I worked with EY for a couple of years in the region, and thereafter a boutique management consulting firm. With the idea at the back end was to start something of our own, and then the idea was basically backed by my brother, my family, and then my father, who recently passed away. So he was the one. He was one of the aspiration. He always used to push us to start something on our own, and there we are. We started back in 2015, good 9 years now. We are a team of. We started small with a team of 3 people. Now, as we speak, we have a team of good 250 people working across the region. So we've got offices in Dubai, Bahrain, Saudi, and Pakistan. So that's about the organization. Arshad, a quick introduction from your side, and then we'll talk about we'll deep dive into athGadlang.
For
Great.
Arshad, let
Thank
me
you.
give him some of his introduction first of all. Like for Arshad, I must say that he has created that impact throughout the Middle East region. Like for him, we have to ask that Arshad, where are you currently? Like at the start, also even Yasir asked that Arshad, in which country you are currently. So he's creating such a big impact. And that's a real proud moment for us. Like in Saudi, in Bahrain, the impact he's creating and the spread of the professional services. That's really remarkable. So, Arshad, I would also
Whereas
request you can share
I
your
would like to
journey.
share, I would like to interrupt. Sorry, one thing. Whenever I post a pic with these two brothers, my inbox gets filled with the students. They said we really want to work with them. So, mashallah, you guys are doing great and you have great reputation. students and professionals really want to join and want to work with you?
Thank you very much, Mustafa. Thank you
That's it.
very much, Owais.
I'll take the credit of this.
No, I also give all the credit to Yasir for starting this business. But just a little bit about me. 27th year in profession. I started in 1998. Did my training with Ernst & Young in Karachi. Had an opportunity to work in Bahrain after that for a couple of years in EY Bahrain. Then got lucky at the time of IFRS boom. Conversion was happening from UK GAAP to IFRS in the UK. Got an opportunity to work with Deloitte in the UK for good 7 years in their banking and capital markets division. Then decided to come back closer to home. Bahrain sort of offered me a good role as a partner for BDO Bahrain, Oman, and Qatar. From 4 clients journey to 450 clients. I was for first 2 to 3 years, I was just swamped with so much work that I did not sort of realize when the time flew by. Became the technical partner for the region, became the risk partner for the firm in the Middle East region, and at the same time took responsibility for internal audit as well as external audit. Then at the same time, me, Star Yasir, and few of our friends started talking. We said, let's start our own business. Yasir, along with Usman and Arslan, took the leap of faith, jumped in with in Dubai. I actually joined in 2020 after these guys have built up the foundation to around 50 odd people in Dubai. Then we opened up Bahrain. Then we opened up Saudi. Then we collectively opened up a JV in Oman, then a back office in 2023 in Pakistan and Karachi and Lahore. Lahore is the biggest base, so we call collectively, as Yasir said, a 250 plus people organization doing like mini big four. I would just do for the purpose of comparison to give you a flavor and idea. So we have assurance, accounting, tax consulting, and another very different spin to the whole proposition of resourcing. And that's where all these bright ladies and gentlemen who are on the call can be connected with us on this journey. We're very proud that we have sort of built the organization from a Pakistani organization based, and then we are pushing it forward. The firm is versatile, open for everybody. So from here on, the Germany, mashallah, we've got around 17 nationalities working with us at the moment as we speak. Not just Pakistani, but of course we are growing that majority of our partners from Pakistani background. Most of our resources are from Pakistan. So I'll stop here. Owais and Mustafa, you wanted to ask something deep dive questions, so please do that. And really, I feel very proud of you two actually, and Subhan as well with a big beard. You guys are making an impact internationally. Sorry, this is not a game of actually passing on compliments for each other. But I think combination of both and brothers here, I think we can go a long way together also, inshallah. You, mashallah, wherever we go and talk about the Sir Mustafa and Sir Owais has taught us. And mashallah, we've taken few students of yours in under our wing. And mashallah, they've been brilliant, whoever you have referred to. So we would love to sort of continue to work with Mirchawalas as we go along, inshallah.
Thank you, Arshad and Yasir, for such a great introduction and telling us the students about the journey which you have passed through. And I always say that it's always a long journey and you have to be consistent in that. Like many people get demotivated at the start of the journey and they don't remain connected. Now, one very important question, like what I personally feel is, and the past few months which I spent in UAE, I personally feel that with the introduction of the corporate taxes here in UAE, I feel that the demand of the accountancy profession, because as the first formal tax filing year will be 2025, because most of the businesses have completed their tax year ends in 2024, which was their first tax year end practically. So the most of the filings will be happening in 2025. So what I particularly believe is that a lot of demand for accountants will be coming because there will be IAS, IFRS based accounts, then the tax return computations. Because currently in UAE, the people think that corporate tax is only about registration. Now the Federal Tax Authority, and they will show the real face when the people will have to make the proper returns, the demand of auditing and all. So what is your opinion in relation to it? Like what would be the demand of the accountants in coming years? And especially when we talk about the students from Pakistan, India, Nepal, they are really motivated to join this entire region. So especially about UAE, Yasir, what is your opinion about the growing demand of accountants in the coming years?
The accounting as a profession has always grown with the organization, with the UAE becoming the financial hub and then a manufacturing hub as in the recent past. Accountants overall play an important role. So if you go back 5, 6 years back, exactly in 2018 when VAT came, the buzz was there in the region that this tax has been introduced, and then this is where a lot of finance professionals came in from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and this has continued and increased. The number has increased over the years. So even if you look at from the ICAP perspective, we had at one point, that point in time, around about, let's say, close to 750 chartered accountants based out of UAE. But if you look at it now, the number has increased to 1100 to 1200. There's one reason, yes, the qualified chartered accountant, the number has increased in past 7, 8 years. But yes, people are more inclined towards it because UAE provides that opportunity to the finance professionals and the tax professionals. And then exactly like you said, last year was mostly primarily about the registrations. But if you look at it now, the year end has the tax year has already ended. The filings will happen before the I think September 2025. So we've got good 9 months now. Those tax assessments and everything will come into place, and this is where finance and then the tax professionals have got a great opportunity to tap the market. And then on the other hand, if you look at it, UAE businesses, they always value finance professionals coming in from this part of the world: India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and so that. Having said that, I think that there's a good opportunity for all of us to tap into this market. So
Yes,
this is I'm specifically talking about the jobs. On the other hand, if you look at it, the businesses, as in business, you start your tax practice, and then UAE itself provides that platform that it's relatively easier for you to set up your practice as well and then work. So we've got those options open in terms of practicing as well as getting a job. Those challenges are definitely there on how you need to land up into that particular job, but yes, the opportunities are there.
I'll completely agree with this, and yes, the demand is growing. And when we talk about UAE, it's always the demand increasing and increasing, like whatever sector we talk about. Arshad, one very important question from you is that you have been hiring so many people, and you have looked at that entire journey in which the people are evolving. Like, what you think that a student has done an accountancy qualification or he has done any other qualification, now when he's coming for a job, what exactly you would like to advise that, okay, when you are coming with accountancy qualification, then you should know about this, you should have these skills, you should have done this. Like, what is your opinion that would make one student CV separate or different from others? Like, that would be important for them to do.
No, I think this particular conversation is more about technical skill set, but I would just not undermine the importance of all the soft skills you need to build in. And I think I had a session with at the Mirchawala in Karachi also, and we talked about that in greater detail. There's a lot more awareness required for you socializing your own profile, but at the same time, interpersonal skills are the fundamental requirements. Your spoken English has to be sort of almost close to perfect. We undermine that actually a lot. Although we do understand that in UAE in particular, there's an extraordinary number of Hindi-speaking Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis. But so our Urdu would be little bit acceptable. But then this is a multicultural environment. So if you want to really come and foster and then progress in the career, you'll have to be absolutely great at English. At the same time, you need to understand more of interpersonal skills. I think in Pakistan now more than than in past. When I was doing my chartered accountancy, there was less focus on interpersonal skills. Now there's a little bit more, but your presentation, how you sort of dress, attire matters. your overall presence matters. So if I were you, I would just also look at online or on-site courses which are sort of grooming your interpersonal skills, your report writing skills, your email writing skills, your negotiation skills, how you actually present yourselves, standing at the podium, describing somebody something. And I know that Mirchawala was giving the opportunity to a lot of students for coming at the podium and then showcasing their capabilities. So it's just not about knowing what you know. It's just more about being able to present yourself. So a lot of other skills and the confidence level is required. So one of the key factors in our interview processes I look for, and Yasir is our HR partner also, and one of the things which is common between us is just we look at the level of confidence that person brings to the table. How much you take pride in yourself, so you'll be able to represent us in front of our clients. So these are the fundamental things, and trust me, the other parts of the world, people are coming from in Dubai or in the GCC region. They have these skill set masters before they come in. So on top of the technical skills, you definitely need to work on your interpersonal skills.
I completely agree with this, Arshad, and I always say to my students that what we as Pakistanis and Indians need to understand is that the students which are coming or the candidates which are coming from the European markets, they naturally have a much more better presentation and a communication skill as compared to us normally. Like from the beginning they have that grooming thing, and our Pakistani guys need to work on that. So that's very important, that when you are going for international markets, you really need to work on that, your dressing, your communication, your presentation, your confidence, and that, yes, that really matters. And when even at Mirchawala I hire someone, being an employer, I always say that yes, technical skills do matter, but for the technical skills I always say that they can be trained. But for the soft skills, those are something which relate to a person's personality, and for that an individual has to work a lot. So that's really true. One question from Mustafa. Uh, I would like that if you share your some insight, because you have a lot of students working abroad. Obviously, Mustafa is my teacher also, and a very big teaching experience and a lot of alumni serving across the globe. And recently also, you were at a summit in Riyadh also. So what is your opinion about this outsourcing businesses, and how we as Pakistanis, all the people who are from these developing countries, can contribute in this outsourcing market sector and this business process outsourcing segment?
Good question, and it's normally student ask this thing. First, I would say that right now, Pakistani currency has been depreciated a lot in last 2 3 years. We have seen. So at one part, we say that this is very negative for Pakistan, but on the other part, we are the cheapest now, right? If you compare it with India, so the Pakistani accountants, if they work from Pakistan, the cost is one third. Like you guys are BPO guys, so you know it better. So that is one advantage for us. Second thing I would say that if you join a BPO firm, then you can stay with your parents and you can work with low cost, right? Like if a student has two options, working in Pakistan in a BPO firm and giving services to foreign clients or foreigners, and the second option to go physically abroad. So if you are going physically abroad, you have a visa cost. Nowadays visa challenges are there. We all know that there are some visa challenges, like they required graduation degree or something like that. So I think it's better you work for the BPO and you can save your cost. You can earn in dollars or pounds or whatever foreign currency is. So it would be a beneficial thing. But one thing more, if you work for different cultures, like one of my student last week, he came from Scotland and he told me all this story. First he worked in Big Four Pakistan, then he worked in Big Four UAE, and then finally he went to Scotland and that UK side. So he said that the compliance level in Pakistan, UAE, and Scotland is totally different. Like when he went to UAE, he was given like four clients for 4 months or something like that. But when he went to Scotland, he was given only one client. He was given only one client, so he thought that now I would be free. But then he came to know that that one client he had to do it extreme extraordinary detail, because the compliance level in Europe and UK is extreme high. So these differences of compliance and these differences of cultural things must be studied by the student so that he can work properly.
I completely agree with this, Mustafa. And moving towards one very interesting question, and that's something which is a very basic question that Yasir, you are at this level of this journey. Like you have done a lot and you have passed all the levels. Now let's think about an individual who is starting his journey. He has done his ACCA, CA, he has the knowledge of taxation, and now he is willing to come to this market. So now this is something which many people ask you, or somehow people say that, sir, please give us the opportunity in UAE. So like, what do you think that what should be the path, like what an individual should be doing exactly to enter in that market? Like just the qualification will matter, or there is something special like coming on some visa trying to do a job? Like when I looked at the UAE market, I felt that in UAE, that old saying that come to UAE and give the CVs, that's not something. Like in UAE, when you go to the office, they say that email us, why are you coming here? Like you can even do it from your own country. So what in your opinion is that way for those looking for a job or those who are looking for their own service providing firm?
See, like I mentioned, UAE has developed and transformed in past 10, 15 years significantly. So if you go back 15 years, it was relatively easier if somebody used to come, drop CVs, and then they used to find the opportunities. Um, but now, gone are the days because the market has become very competitive. And then the supply is too much. When I talk about supply, the people from different part of the world are now inclined to be resident of UAE. Initially, it was more like India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, but now if you look at it, the overall mix of population is significantly changed over the years. And now you'll find Europeans being stationed in UAE more than ever, and that is where now the idea of just coming to UAE and dropping your CV would not work. So I think, and then having said that, the market is becoming competitive. Only the education would not work. So you need to be a bit more specific. So, for example, the type of courses that Mirchawala has come up with specific to the tax, I think that is where Mirchawala plays an important role in providing that initial path for the individuals. So, for example, let's say if you know accounting but you don't know the tax, it would not help. Knowing tax and the regulations and the other laws would definitely help you in landing up the job. The other area I would suggest, which Arshad highlighted as well, and then also linking it to what Mustafa mentioned. So Arshad highlighted the overall idea of the interpersonal skills. So I think that is where we as finance professionals need to invest time. We need to get a couple of courses enrolled in that particular area, because only that particular IQ might land you a particular job, but then would not get you promoted. So it's a famous saying: IQ can get you a job, but EQ gets you promoted. So EQ is an important area for everybody of us to look into. And linking that to the BPO side, where Mustafa mentioned. So if you've got the relevant courses done on tax, and then you work with a BPO for a limited period of time, you get the experience of an international market, and then your CV becomes more presentable and then a bit more stronger as a case. So if somebody, if you look at it from our perspective, if somebody comes in who has spent 10 years working in Pakistan for a Pakistani company, comes in and would want to work on the finance side, versus somebody who has spent 6-7 years, 3 years out of it would be BPO serving UAE market. I think everybody knows the answer, what is more suitable and the better candidate. So we need to plan it accordingly. If our idea is to move into this market, GCC market or European market, we should work with a BPO who is actually providing you the opportunity to work into those markets.
I completely agree with this. And Yasir, I must say that this is the journey which the students need to understand. Like when we talk about our today's generation, that Gen Z thing, they are in a lot of rush. They want the success to come very soon. And what I say that when we compare, we are comparing the others 20th year of experience with our first year, and we want that 20th year of experience to get in the first year. Like, why I'm not getting that? So that's the journey. It's not a 100-meter sprint that you can just do it in a while. Maybe sometimes the luck clicks, but it's always about investing the time.
One thing, Wes, I
Yeah.
want to add, sorry.
Yeah.
You said that the nowadays students are very hurry. They want immediate results. So if I tell my story or Ahmed Shafi or Wes story, so in ACCA there are different levels. Like the starting papers are FA1, MA1, then FA2, MA2, then F2, F3, then ACCA skills module, and then strategic level. So I teach strategic level as well now. But when I started teaching, like in 2003, 2004, I started with FA1, MA1, and it took me 5 years to reach to SBR. Like FA1, MA1 students converted into FA2, MA2, then F2, F3 we launch after 1 year, then part two paper. So it took 5 years. So I say this to my student that don't rush, don't ask immediate results.
I completely agree with this. And Mustafa, it's always about journey when we talk about the service sector, that it's the time which you invest. Now, one important question, Arshad, which is a most trending question of today's world in every profession. And since you are serving to the clients throughout the globe and you have a lot of exposure, so what do you think that this artificial intelligence, this AI will impact our accountancy career? Because I personally say to when my students say that, sir, will AI replace human beings? So I always say that no, AI won't replace human beings. What will happen is that those human beings which know AI, which are equipped with AI, will replace those who are not equipped with AIs. Like, for example, when the first time the Microsoft Excel and the computer was introduced, so those who didn't know how to use computer, they got replaced. But this didn't mean that the accountants got replaced. Those accountants with that skill replace those who don't know that skill. So the first revolution was when the computer and MS Excel was introduced. Second revolution was when ERP softwares were introduced like SAP, Oracle, QuickBooks. And now I say that this is the third revolution which our mankind will be getting, is the introduction of artificial intelligence. So how you think that this artificial intelligence will be impacting the accountancy career? Will it be affecting the demand of the accountants? Like, will the accountants get unemployed? Like some people say that. So what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I've been in a number of conferences and having worked in different parts of the world, the journey and the maturity of AI usage, not just AI usage, just the broad usage of technology differs from country to country. The Western world is far ahead of us, and if I were to sort of compare the journey, they're not out of business, so we will not be out of the business in next 10 to 15 years also. But what is happening at the same time? The demand from our clients is changing and drastically changing. They are also demanding different kind of insights. For example, just argument's sake, just an accounting or a tax reporting clients, they are just done with the usual balance sheet, P&L reporting, MIS, just a typical fluctuation year on year, month on month comparison. That's so old school. You know, people would want some dashboards, some analysis, some Power BI usage, some usage of AI built-in technology where they can compare their businesses with other businesses, benchmark them with other businesses. So unless you know how to use different kind of AI tools and then perhaps build in yourself, if some of the people I've been seeing asking for a lot of questions in terms of setting up their own businesses, if you are coming up with your own product, for example, so your brain versus the technology product builder business brain can come up with a tool of yourself. For example, IFRS chat GPT has not been introduced. You know, a question can be asked to a chat GPT specifically about IFRS and accounting treatment. How would you sort of delve into that and then help your own clients writing white papers on IFRSs in particular, for example, or a comparison, as I said, from a benchmarking perspective, your own P&L of a manufacturing unit versus a typical manufacturing unit in UAE, how would you compare and contrast with the different kind of ratios, for example? So unless you know and can figure it out as to how you will have to get the right answer for your client, the value add system will continue to evolve. You know, if you continue to doing what you were always, so I always say, I mean, this is a very usual quote in our organization. Everybody says, so if you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always got. So if you want to move ahead, you need to keep trying different things. So AI is another enabler, as you rightly said, but a knowledge of AI tools, you will be left out. And I've been a victim of that when I was in the UK, for example. I used to go to these large town hall meetings of Deloitte, and I used to say that these guys are coming up, and every single time they come up with a grand idea of a different thing, and I'm just listening, and I get bored out of it. And I just realized after third and fourth year that I missed out. If I would have listened to what my partners are saying, that this is the new direction, I would have been, my growth would have been even faster. So if people are saying that AI needs to be used, you need to be first to latch on to this trajectory and understand. For example, just a simple one is ChatGPT. How would you use it? How would you make it more easy for you to use, instead of just copying pasting the stuff coming out of ChatGPT? And then there are n number of AI tools beyond that, and this is further evolving every single day. So I would say, to answer your question in a very succinct manner, no, we will be required. The brains are required to evaluate the kind of results the chat GPT or any other AI tool will throw at, but you need to be sensible enough to know how to use them, and then value add for your client to actually be seen as different from others.
I completely agree with this. And Arshad, I always say to my students that consider AI as your friend, as an enabler in your job rather than as an enemy which will be replacing you. If you consider it as your friend and use it in your job, that will be helping you in doing a much better job. Like I was sitting with our software coder. I asked him that, okay, I need this function on our app. So rather than writing the entire code from the scratch, what he did was he just went to AI. He asked that, okay, I want a code like this. And in the seconds, a code was generated. And then he said, okay, now I'll just do the modifications in it and I'll save my time. So it was the smart use that rather than redoing, which can be easily done through AI, he just use it for the modification. So that's very important that people consider it as an enabler or as a help in their role. Now, one,
Wes, I
yeah,
have
yeah.
I have one contribution in this, that AI is good for the whole industry. Why? Because AI is a technology, and with technology, the cost per unit will decrease for the final user. And whenever cost per unit decreases, demand increases, quantity demanded increases. I was reading an article. There was a guy who was using a petrol car with like 4000 cc or 5000 cc. So he converted himself from 4000 cc to a hybrid car. And you know what happened? At the end of 1 or 2 months, he saw that the fuel cost increases, because now when cost per unit, cost per mile is decreased, so he was driving more. He was driving more. So that means the overall demand will increase with this AI.
I completely agree, and this is like the mindset. And obviously, when as more and more technology comes, it make us more used to and more dependent on these things, and we use it more towards analysis. And always say that as the e-commerce businesses are prospering, this Amazon and all of these things, they all have a great need of the accountants. And see what we as an accountants need to understand is that, see, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I don't want to do my accounts on my own. I just want to outsource it and focus on my business thing, focus on my sale thing. Like one very important fact which I tell to my students is that Mirchawala Institute has been training accountants for more than 15 years. Like accountancy is something which is in our bloods. But then also Mirchawala Institute itself outsources its accounts function to a firm. So many people say that, why do you do that? Why don't you do the accounts on your own? So I always say that being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, I want to spend my entire time on the business, on the sales, on the marketing, rather than keeping the book of accounts. So this is what we need to understand as accounting professionals is that we have a great demand out there in the market, and those who are not accountants, they look us as a blessing that, okay, they will keep our accounts and they can just focus on their business thing. One question which I want to ask from Yasir, and this is a very interesting fact which we see around nowadays, that in past, it was a lot of focus of the students that they just want to go in external audit only. Like it was a matter of life and death that I want to go in external audit only. And if being an accountant, I am not going in external audit, my career is finished. But what I see in the market is that nowadays the careers in internal audit, taxation, advisory, transaction advisory, these careers are also prospering a lot. So I would request you that if you can put some light on this and any advice you can give to the students, because when a student say that, okay, sir, I'm waiting and I'm not joining a firm only because I'm not getting an opportunity in external audit, I personally believe that that's something which he is doing wrong with his career. So, what is your opinion if a student starts his career from non-external audit?
I can completely relate, Owais. I remember I was working in the external audit department of EY, and then at that point in time, there was a subdivision that started with the name of IFSG. Arshad would know, Islamic Finance Group, and then it was under the advisory side, and they put me in that for good 1.5 years, and I was like, I did all that I could to come out of it saying myself that I'm a chartered accountant, I'm becoming a chartered accountant, so I would know or I should be spending all my time on the external audit. But then fast forward now, I feel that only if I would have spent more time in the advisory, that would have actually helped me a bit more than what I am today. So I think if you look at it, external audit or the internal audit, as for that matter, is more of a policeman or somebody who's holding a stick and then going after the organizations. That's true to an extent. So I think that's a small part of the finance, not all. And then I remember when we used to do the audit, and then we used to go and then speak to somebody, let's say a CFO. We used to ask him a question regarding a specific IFRS. We used to ask him, and then we used to come back and say, "यार, इसको किसने CFO बना दिया? इसको ये IFRS भी नहीं पता." At that point in time, our whole idea was that maybe a chartered accountant is all about IFRS or auditing standards, nothing else. But then fast forward again, you look at it today, finance or a CFO doesn't need to know all these. He's got his team working behind him. And then, so having said that, I think audit is important. Yeah, you need to know, you need to understand. If you can get a flavor of it, nothing like it. But even if you don't, there's a world other than the external or the internal audit, which is what the advisory part of the business is, which is what I look at it in our organization. Having said that, we've got the evaluations part, we've got M&A side of the business, we do the due diligence, and this is where the crux of the business remains. So, for example, if somebody is into a business, doing an external audit is what you call it the bookish part of the work. But when you talk about the M&A transaction, actually being involved in valuing the organization, making sure how that particular organization needs to be divested, or a due diligence that needs to be done for that particular organization, or the overall strategy that needs to be redone for the organization, this is where the actual work, I feel, comes in. And then audit versus advisory, I think it's on the different side of the table. You're just if you're an auditor, you're on the other side of the table, just assessing what the organization has done. But when you talk about advisory, you see the real part of the business. You work hands in hand with the organization. You try to build it in different areas. So I think if anybody of you ever get an opportunity to work in advisory over audit, I would personally suggest, yes, take up that opportunity. The world has got more opportunities for somebody who's done more into advisory side of the business. Arshad, would you second that?
No, I actually,
Arshad, basically, the reason why I asked him, I know he has spent more years in the audit side. So he has spent good
21 good golden years in audit, and I was the flag bearer of audit. People used to say, "Are you serious? You guys spent 20 years in just doing audit?" See, there's two sides of the coin. Historians, compliance, checkers have got the eye to the details, the attention to details. But of course, the future-looking aspects of business growth comes from advisory, be it an advisory from a overall business perspective or any particular area, like for example, tax advisory, or any particular other areas, be it financial accounting advisory, be it transaction advisory, risk advisory, technology advisory. There's so much out there. So I would second Yasir. Now I'm so done with audit that I am actually, whenever they use the word audit and said I've done enough of my entire half of my life devoted to audit, so I want to do everything other than audit today. And mashallah, that's what Yasir's organization has given me. Mashallah. And thank you very much, Yasir, for giving me this opportunity to work on other departments other than audit.
I completely agree. And I always say this thing that what we need to understand is that audit is a cost center, whereas advisory can be a profit center for a firm. When we give an advice, it's actually generating money for the owner. And when it's actually generating money, he would be more than willing to pay you more. So, and yes, the world is evolving. And when I talk to people who have given a lot of time in audit, they say that why to spend so much in such a stressed environment where there is so much regulation and a regulatory sword at your neck that if you do a mistake, you get a regulatory appraisal. So that's one thing that people are now moving towards, away from external audit and moving towards these advisory things. We would be now coming to the closing of the session, and I would be requesting each of our guests that if they can share some of the closing words. And obviously, I'll ask Mustafa first because he has spoken the least in this session. So, Mustafa,
Just only today. Just only today. I'm telling you, if you allow
I
him
have
to
already
talk, he will
covered
give you
these
so
in
many
my videos.
examples that he will not let us talk. So it's good that you did not ask him too many questions.
So,
Just joking.
Mustafa, if you can share some concluding advice of what you would suggest to the students, especially those who are looking for their careers in Middle East and GCC region.
Yes, today I wrote a video topic because in United States I met some Desi people, not all Desis, some Desi people, and you know what they think? They think that in Pakistan anybody can work for like $100, and they say that in Pakistan you get a driver and a guard for $100. So I said that yes, you can get a driver with a basic salary, not complete package, because with basic salary you need to give them food, you need to give them accommodation, everything. So it makes like $200 to $50 overall. So they say that you can get easily employed. So they want to hire students from Pakistan with a very low salary. I said no, all Pakistanis are not undersellers. So I would request all students, do not undersell yourself. You have a dignity, and these professions like accounting, IT profession, like social media, those who are providing social media services, now they have a lot of opportunities. They have those who are working virtually, the whole world is in front of them, and they can work at different fields. So my advice for all students, do not undersell, take good skills. Now we have a lot of courses there, as Sir West said, as Sir West is offering UK tax course, he's offering UAE tax course. So if you guys take such courses, you can update your skills and you can negotiate with your employer in a better way.
I completely agree with this. And Mustafa, I must say that knowing your value is very important. That other person putting a value on you and knowing yourself your value, that's very important. Arshad, I would request if you can share some advice to the students and especially those who are looking at the start of career. You've already told a lot of things, but that one last advice that you think that it's very important.
I can see a lot of people have asked a lot of questions. I wish we had time to answer every single one question. I think the one theme which I picked up from there is how to either start a business or land a job in UAE. The first and the foremost is just what we've already discussed and agreed that add-on skills would be required. At the same time, I think I can't sort of emphasize more on the interpersonal skills, and I would really definitely put a lot of value and weight towards to the interpersonal skills. And in my assessment of people coming to our organization, I put a good 75% weightage on interpersonal skills, because technical skills, I always assume being a qualified chartered accountant or a a progressive, about to qualify, part qualified chartered accountant to have this acquired knowledge already. So I don't dwell too much on it. But if you were to do a starting of your own business, that would be another way of having using the UAE tax courses as a ladder for first to understand how the market works, and perhaps maybe starting a business in Pakistan first, or wherever you are from first. Start small, understand the hoops of how to acquire clients, how to manage resources, how to get through the licensing processes. And once you've got the handle over it, then you can replicate that into other countries. So where you are, try to brush up your skills there before you jump. So, pause before you pounce. Take a deep breath, look at what you can do around you with the limited resources you can deploy. And then if you are ever thinking that money would be the constraint, it should not be the mental block. You should start and getting to even a small consultancy or accounting practice or tax firm in Pakistan or India or Nepal or Bangladesh, wherever you're from. Start there and then take it to other countries, UAE being one of them. So yeah, and I'm more than happy to answer any other questions you may have. I'm on LinkedIn, very active. Me and Yasir, following the footstep of Mustafa, trying to sort of get through to the number he has already reached. And inshallah, but if you want to sort of ask any questions, you can always do that via Mirchawala or directly through LinkedIn.
It's really inspiring that, yeah, Arshad, despite of your busy schedule, you guys are really busy in your professional and corporate service, but you still give time to these aspiring accountants to get ahead in that journey. And that's what I say, that this is the payback which we are giving. And obviously, the difficulties which a person without guidance has encountered, but if when you share that advice, when you help them, that's really helpful, and that's the impact which you guys are creating for the community. So that's really great. Yasir, any last piece of advice to the students who are coming? And you have given a lot of advices, but what that last thing that you think that a student should make sure if he want to really excel in these markets?
Before answering that part, I was reading the questions, and I had one question coming in from Mariam, which was she's asking that whether to start working for a small company or a bigger organization like Big Four. So I've experienced both. So I was with EY for good 10, 12 years, where I was a small part of a huge organization. And on the other hand, when I worked for a smaller organization, I was a bigger part of a very small organization. But then what you need to keep in mind is what your end goal is. So, for example, for us, for myself, we wanted to end up in starting this organization. So that was the overall idea. So we had the flavor of working for a bigger organization. And then when I went down to a smaller organization, I learned a lot of things
Went
on
up,
day-to-day
yes, sir. Went
practices.
up to a smaller organization.
I went up to a smaller organization.
Yeah, that's right.
Went up to a smaller organization. So this is where I learned different aspects of the business. But the end goal was to start something of our own, and then the process was necessary for us to do that. So that's the answer to Mariam's question. You need to understand what your end goal is before you take up that kind of a step. Talking about any last piece of advice, I think I've mentioned earlier, and I'll reiterate on that we need to spend. Qualification is one part of it, but we need to spend time in getting knowledge of the EQ side of the business, the soft skills, which is super important. Knowing something and not being able to present, just imagine that's like as good as not knowing. So you need to understand how you present, how you talk, how you walk, what you wear, and how you wear those kind of things. Talking about opportunities, there are lots of opportunities for finance professions. Somebody comes up and says that accounting as a profession will get obsolete or out of the market with AI. I think that would never happen. That also, like Owais mentioned, the similar kind of a thing happened when computers were introduced. People said that, people used to maintain the books of account with paper, pen, different files, and then they said with the invention of computers, accountants would not be needed. But here we are, we're talking on via computers, everybody. I think learning that in skill is important. So opportunities are there in Pakistan, outside Pakistan, but again, you need to see where you need to land up. And yes, have some patience. There is a process. It takes time. Trust that process, and inshallah, you will achieve what you eventually look for.
And it was a real important advice. The last thing which you said is the trust on the process, that yes, whatever is happening is the part of the journey. Like it always take time. It cannot happen in one day or in few hours. You have to trust on the process, and that consistency in the discipline is the most important thing. And I must thank all of the guests, Yasir, Arshad, Mustafa, for taking out the time. It's a great contribution for our profession that you guys take out your time from your busy schedules to address these aspiring accountants. And obviously it's really important, and I must thank you all for taking out the time. So thank you everyone, all the guests and all the audience which have attended our session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.
Nice day.
Take care. Take care.